The stars looked cold through the viewing window of the warship. Commander Hyun Woo stood with his hands behind his back, watching the empty space ahead. Somewhere in that darkness was Earth, the planet that had gone silent 73 cycles ago. The Confederation had sent messages, warnings, and finally, an ultimatum. The humans never responded. "We are approaching the Sol system, Commander," said the navigation officer. Her voice was steady, professional. Everyone on the bridge knew what they expected to find. A dead world. Empty cities. The remains of a species that refused to bow. Hyun Woo nodded slowly. He remembered the ultimatum clearly. Join the Confederation or be removed. Simple words that carried the weight of entire civilizations. The Confederation ruled over 300 worlds, and none had ever refused. None except the humans. "Scan for defensive systems," Hyun Woo ordered. "I want to know if anything is active." The sensors swept across the system. Earth grew larger on the screens, a blue and green sphere that looked peaceful from space. The moon hung beside it, gray and silent. Orbital stations dotted the space around the planet, their metal surfaces reflecting starlight. "Commander, this is strange," the sensor officer said. His name was Dae-young, and he had served on the ship for 12 years. "The orbital infrastructure is intact. No damage. No debris." Hyun Woo stepped closer to the screens. "Are the stations active?" "No, sir. They have power, but no one is operating them. It is like everyone just left." A chill ran through the bridge. An empty world was expected. An abandoned world with everything still working was something else entirely. Hyun Woo made his decision quickly. "Prepare a landing party. Captain Dae-young, you will lead. Take a full security team. Land in the largest city and report what you find." Dae-young saluted and left the bridge. Within an hour, the landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere. The sky was blue and clear. White clouds drifted past the windows. Everything looked normal, alive, healthy. But the radio channels were silent. No traffic control. No emergency broadcasts. Nothing. The craft landed in what the old records called Seoul. The city spread out in all directions, towers of glass and steel rising toward the sky. Streets ran in neat patterns between buildings. Parks showed green spaces where trees grew. But nothing moved. No vehicles. No people. No animals. Dae-young and his team stepped out onto the landing pad. The air smelled clean. A light breeze blew between the buildings, making a soft whistling sound. Their boots echoed on the concrete as they walked toward the nearest structure. "Spread out," Dae-young ordered. "Check the buildings. Look for bodies, signs of struggle, anything that explains this." The team moved through the city for hours. They found apartments with furniture still in place, stores with goods still on shelves, vehicles parked neatly along streets. Everything was orderly, preserved, waiting. But there were no humans. Not a single body. Not a drop of blood. Not even trash in the streets. "Sir, you need to see this," one of the soldiers called. He stood in a large plaza at the city center. In the middle of the open space stood a structure that had not been there in the old records. A tower of black metal, 10 meters tall, with a pulsing blue light at its top. Dae-young approached carefully. The tower hummed with power. A display panel on its side showed text in multiple languages. He recognized the Confederation's standard language among them. "It is a transmission beacon," he said. "Active and broadcasting. What is the message?" Another soldier asked. Dae-young connected his scanner to the beacon. The message loaded quickly. It was short, simple, terrifying. "You have sealed your destiny. We are coming." The words repeated on an endless loop, broadcasting out into space on all frequencies. Dae-young felt his blood go cold. He tapped his communicator. Commander Hyan Wu, we have a situation. You need to hear this. Back on the ship, Hyan Wu listened to the message 3 times. His officers stood around him, silent and confused. Finally, he spoke. Where are they? Where did 11 billion humans go? The science officer, a woman named So-min, stepped forward. Sir, I have been analyzing the orbital stations. Their computers are still accessible. I found something in the archives. She activated a holographic display. Files appeared. Thousands of them, all dated from the time Earth went silent. So-min opened one. It showed a massive construction project, a space vessel unlike anything Confederation records. They built ships, So-min said quietly. Hundreds of thousands of ships. Maybe millions. All using technology we have never seen before. Faster than light technology? Hyan Wu asked. Yes, sir. But not like ours. Theirs leaves no trace. No energy signature. No distortion wake. They could have gone anywhere in the galaxy, and we would never track them. Hyan Wu stared at the empty planet on the screen. They evacuated. All of them. But why leave the beacon? Why warn us? No one had an answer. The message continued broadcasting from the surface, the same words over and over. A promise. A threat. A declaration of something the Confederation did not yet understand. Download everything from the archives, Hyan Wu ordered. Every file, every record. We need to know what we are dealing with. As the data transferred to the ship, Hyan Wu could not shake the feeling that they had made a terrible mistake. The silence was not surrender. The empty cities were not defeat. They were something far worse. They were preparation. The archives held secrets that made Commander Hyan Wu's hand shake. He sat in his private quarters, reading file after file, watching video after video. The story of what humanity had done was almost impossible to believe. Scientist So-min worked beside him, organizing the data into a timeline. She had barely slept in 3 days. Her eyes were red, but she refused to rest. What they were discovering was too important. Here, she said, pointing to a file dated exactly 73 cycles ago. This is when it started. They called it the scattering. The video showed a man standing in what looked like a government building. His name was Ji-hoon, an engineer who had worked on Earth's space programs. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. My fellow humans, Ji-hoon said in the recording, the Confederation has given us a choice. Submit or die. But they are wrong. There is a third option. We leave. The camera pulled back to show a room full of people. Scientists, engineers, military officers, civilians. Thousands of faces watching Ji-hoon speak. We have developed faster than light travel that the Confederation cannot detect or track. We have the means to move every human being off this planet within 70 cycles. We will scatter across the galaxy, to places they will never find. And then we will prepare. Prepare for what? Someone in the recording asked. Ji-hoon's expression hardened. For war. Total war. They want to erase us? We will erase them first. Hyan Wu paused the video. They planned this from the moment they received the ultimatum. While we waited for their response, they were building an entire evacuation fleet. So-min pulled up construction records. Shipyards hidden on the dark side of the moon. Manufacturing facilities built into asteroids. Resources stripped from the entire solar system and converted into vessels capable of carrying millions. Look at the coordination, So-min said. Every nation on Earth worked together. Every factory, every resource, every person focused on one goal. They moved their entire species in 73 cycles. The records showed the exodus in detail. Ships launching day and night, each carrying thousands of people. Children, elderly, sick, healthy. No one was left behind. The last ship departed exactly one cycle before the Confederation fleet arrived. But it was the destination files that made Haiyan Wu's blood run cold. The humans had not fled to nearby systems. They had scattered to hundreds of locations across uncharted space. Rogue planets, asteroid belts and empty regions, moons orbiting dead stars. Places so remote that no one would ever think to look. They chose locations with resources, so men explained. Every group that left had engineers, scientists, soldiers, and workers. Every destination had metals, water, energy sources. They were not running away. They were setting up bases. Haiyan Wu found another video. This one showed a woman named Minji, a communications specialist. She stood in what looked like a newly built facility on an ice-covered moon. Phase 1 complete, Minji reported. All groups have reached their destinations. Beginning Phase 2, construction. The video cut to show massive construction projects. Shipyards being built in space. Weapons factories carved into rock. Training facilities where humans learn to fight in zero gravity. Everything happened simultaneously across hundreds of locations. They used quantum communication, so men said. That is how they coordinated across such vast distances. Every group stayed connected, sharing information, working as one. Haiyan Wu leaned back in his chair. How long did they plan to hide? What were they waiting for? So men opened another file. They were not hiding, Commander. They were building. Look at this production schedule. Numbers filled the screen. Ships, weapons, soldiers, all growing in quantity every cycle. The scattered humans were not refugees. They were a civilization in exile, and they were preparing for something massive. They are coming back, Haiyan Wu whispered. The beacon. The message. They are warning us. No, sir, Somin said quietly. They are not warning us. They already decided what to do. The message is a statement of fact. Haiyan Wu found the final video in the archives. It was recorded by a man named Tae Haiyan, who appeared to be a military commander. He wore a uniform Haiyan Wu did not recognize, black with silver symbols. To whoever finds these records, Tae Haiyan said, you came to Earth expecting to find a dead world. You came to claim what you thought was yours. But Earth is not dead. Earth is bait. The camera showed the city they had explored. Every building, every street, every piece of infrastructure. Everything you see here is rigged with quantum demolition charges. Tae Haiyan continued. The moment your forces try to claim this world, it will disappear in a flash of light. But that is just the first message. Tae Haiyan stepped closer to the camera. The Confederation gave us an ultimatum. Submit or die. We chose neither. We chose to make you regret ever finding us. We scattered across the stars not as refugees, but as seeds. And now those seeds have grown into something you cannot imagine. The video ended. Haiyan Wu and Somin sat in silence. Around them, the ship continued its orbit of the empty planet. The beacon continued broadcasting its simple message. We need to warn the Confederation High Command, Haiyan Wu said. They need to know what is coming. Somin nodded. Will they listen? They have to. If what these files say is true, the humans are preparing to attack. Not just us, but the entire Confederation. And they have had 73 cycles to prepare. Haiyan Wu sent the files to Confederation headquarters with a priority alert. He included his own report, detailing everything they had found. The empty cities, the archives, the scattered humans preparing for war. The response came back within hours. High Command acknowledged the report. They would review the files and make a decision. But Haiyan Wu knew bureaucracies. He knew how empires worked. They would debate. They would question. They would assume humans were no threat because they had always won before. He looked at the planet below, so beautiful and empty. Somewhere out in the darkness, 11 billion humans were watching, waiting, building, preparing to return. The scattering was complete. Phase 2 was underway, and the Confederation had no idea what was coming. Admiral Tai Yang read Commander Haiyan Wu's report 3 times. Each time, he found it harder to believe. The Confederation High Command sat around him in the Grand Chamber, their faces showing doubt and dismissal. 11 billion refugees scattered across space, one council member said. And we are supposed to fear them? They have no unified command, no supply lines, no communication. The report says they have quantum communication, Tai Yang pointed out. They can coordinate instantly across any distance. The council member laughed. Then why hide? If they are so powerful, why run? Tai Yang had asked himself the same question. The answer in the files was clear, but hard to accept. The humans ran because they needed time. Time to prepare. Time to build. Time to transform from a single planet species into something spread across the stars. I recommend we increase defensive patrols, Tai Yang said. At minimum, we should monitor systems near uncharted space. A waste of resources, another council member said. The humans are finished. They scattered and doomed themselves to extinction. No species can survive split into 1,000 groups. The council voted 7-3 against increasing patrols. The Confederation would continue normal operations. Earth would be marked for future colonization, but only after proper decontamination. The meeting ended. Tai Yang returned to his flagship feeling uneasy. Something about the human plan bothered him. They had evacuated perfectly. They had left functioning cities. They had left a message. Everything was too organized, too planned. This was not panic. This was strategy. He sent private orders to his most trusted officers. Watch for unusual activity. Report anything strange. Be ready. The first attack came 17 days later. Pilot Sung-ho was on routine patrol near Confederation Station Arcturus. The station was massive, home to 15,000 workers and defended by 30 warships. Nothing had threatened it in over a century. Sung-ho's sensors detected nothing unusual. Space was empty. The stars were steady. Then reality tore open. Ships appeared from nowhere. Not one or two, hundreds. They were sleek, black, covered in angles that made sensors malfunction. No energy signatures before they arrived. No warning. This is Station Arcturus to all vessels. The emergency broadcast screamed. We are under attack. Unknown forces. Repeat, unknown forces. Sung-ho watched his sensors go wild. The attacking ships moved impossibly fast, weaving between divisive fire like dancers. Their weapons struck with precision, taking out shield generators, communication arrays, weapon platforms. They were not trying to destroy the station. They were dismantling it. All fighters launch, the station commander ordered. Defend the station. Sung-ho launched with his squadron. 20 fighters against hundreds of enemy vessels. The math was bad, but they had to try. He targeted the nearest enemy ship and fired. The ship dodged. Not with thrusters. Not with any visible propulsion. It simply moved, like physics did not apply. Sung-ho's shots passed through empty space. Then the enemy returned fire. A beam of blue light touched his fighter's wing. The metal dissolved like paper in water. Alarms screamed. Sung-ho ejected seconds before his fighter exploded. Around him, the battle was already over. Station Arcturus drifted in space, its weapons silent, its shields gone, its engines dead. The attacking ships surrounded it like predators around wounded prey. But they did not destroy it. They captured it. Escape pods floated in space. The enemy ships collected them carefully, pulling in survivors. Sungho's pod was grabbed by a mechanical arm and pulled into a large vessel. The pod door opened. Sungho expected aliens. He expected monsters. Instead, he saw a woman in a black uniform. She was human. "Welcome aboard," she said in perfect Confederation standard language. "I am Captain Hien. You are now prisoners of the Human Defense Fleet." Sungho stared. "You are human? But Earth is empty. You scattered. You abandoned your world." Hien smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We did not abandon anything. We repositioned. Did you really think 11 billion people would just disappear quietly? How did you attack us? Our sensors detected nothing until you were right on top of us. We've been watching you for 73 cycles," Hien said. "We know your sensor frequencies. We know your communication protocols. We know everything about you. You know nothing about us." That was the point. Communications Officer Minji appeared on screens across the Confederation that same day. She stood in front of a camera, her expression calm and professional. "This is a message to the Confederation High Command. Today, we conducted simultaneous operations against 17 of your military installations. All operations were successful. All facilities are now under human control. All personnel are alive and unharmed." The screen showed images. Station Arcturus, Outpost Delta 7, Defense Platform Zeta, all captured. All intact. All flying human flags. "You issued Earth an ultimatum," Minji continued. "Submit or die." We rejected both options. Instead, we chose a third path. We will make you regret the day you threatened humanity. This is not a war of conquest. This is a war of survival. You tried to kill us. We will ensure you never threaten anyone again. Surrender is still possible. Send your representatives to the coordinates we provide. We will discuss terms." The broadcast ended. Panic spread through the Confederation. How had humans attacked so many locations at once? How had they moved forces across such vast distances without anyone noticing? Admiral Taeyang knew the answer. The scattering. The humans were not scattered randomly. Every group was positioned strategically, placed to strike at key Confederation installations. They had spent 73 cycles watching, learning, building. And now they were ready. He pulled up star maps, marking every attack location. The pattern was clear. Humans had surrounded the Confederation's core territories. They were everywhere. Hidden bases on remote moons. Secret shipyards in dead systems. Forward positions in neutral space. They turned their weakness into strength, Taeyang whispered. "We thought scattering made them vulnerable. Instead, it made them impossible to fight." His communications officer rushed in. "Sir, we are receiving reports from across all sectors. Human forces are engaging our patrols, our outposts, our supply lines. They are hitting us everywhere at once." Taeyang sat down slowly. This was not random attacks. This was a coordinated offensive involving billions of soldiers, thousands of ships, and perfect timing across hundreds of light years. The humans fought as one unified force despite being physically separated. "Send a message to High Command," Taeyang ordered. "Tell them the humans are not scattered refugees. They are an invasion force, and they have already won the first battle." Across the galaxy, human forces struck with precision and coordination that should have been impossible. Every attack was planned. Every target was chosen carefully. Nothing was random. Everything served a purpose. The Confederation had fought many wars. but never against an enemy like this. Never against a species that turned exile into opportunity. Never against 11 billion minds working as one toward a single goal. The war had begun, and humanity was winning. Commander Hyan-Woo stood in the strategic planning room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the war's progress. Every screen told the same story. The Confederation was losing. "We have lost 43 stations," he said to the assembled officers. 117 outposts, 2 major shipyards, and we have not destroyed a single human vessel. The officers looked tired. They had been fighting for 30 days without rest. 30 days of defeats, retreats, and desperate defenses. The humans attacked everywhere, disappeared before reinforcements arrived, and struck somewhere new before the Confederation could respond. Dr. J1, the fleet's chief analyst, stood and activated a presentation. "I have studied every human engagement, every attack pattern, every tactical decision. I need to share what I have found, and you will not like it." The room went quiet. J1 pulled up footage from various battles. Ships fighting, stations burning, defense platforms exploding. But he was not showing the destruction. He was showing something else. "Watch the human ships," J1 said. "Notice anything?" Hyan-Woo watched carefully. The human vessels moved with perfect coordination. When one ship turned, others adjusted instantly. When one fired, others supported from exact positions. There was no delay, no communication lag, no hesitation. "They fight as one organism," J1 said. "Not as individual ships with individual commanders. Every human vessel is connected to every other human vessel. They share information instantly. They make decisions collectively. They act as a single mind with thousands of bodies." "The quantum communication network," Hyan-Woo said. "More than that," J1 replied. "I analyzed captured human soldiers. They have implants, neural interfaces connected to their quantum network. Every human can communicate with every other human instantly. They share tactical data, strategic planning, even emotions and morale. When you fight one human, you fight all 11 billion. The room erupted in conversation. Officers argued about how this was possible, how humans could process so much information, how they could make decisions with billions of voices. Strategist Hae-in, who had defected from the human forces 3 days ago, stood up. "May I speak?" The room went silent. Everyone stared at the traitor, the human who had joined the Confederation side. Hyan-Woo nodded. "You are asking the wrong questions," Hyan said. "You want to know how we process information, how we coordinate, how we think as one. But you should be asking why. Why?" Hyan-Woo repeated. "The Confederation sent Earth an ultimatum. Submit or be destroyed. You did not offer peace. You did not offer cooperation. You demanded total surrender or total extinction. So humanity asked itself a question. If the galaxy wants us dead, how do we ensure our survival?" Han walked to the display and pointed at the scattered human positions. "We cannot be destroyed by attacking one location because we are not in one location. We cannot be defeated by cutting supply lines because every settlement produces its own supplies. We cannot be divided by propaganda because we all share the same information. We became impossible to kill." "But you are fighting to destroy us," one officer said. "That is not survival. That is revenge." "No," Han said coldly. "It is prevention. The Confederation proved it sees humanity as a threat to be eliminated. We are eliminating the threat first. You taught us that the only way to survive in this galaxy is to be so dangerous that no one dares threaten you." Hyan-Woo felt sick. "You are committing genocide." "We are following your doctrine," Hyan replied. Submit or be destroyed. We offered Earth's surrender. You rejected it by demanding submission. Now you face the same choice you gave us. Submit to humanity's terms, or be destroyed. Field researcher Young Soo had been quiet throughout the meeting. Now he spoke up. I found something in the archived human transmissions from before the scattering. It explains their philosophy. He played a recording. It showed a human historian standing in a museum filled with ancient weapons, swords, guns, bombs, missiles. Humanity has been at war with itself for all of recorded history, the historian said. We perfected the art of killing. We developed weapons that could end all life on our planet. We created strategies and tactics for every possible conflict. War is in our nature. The historian touched a nuclear missile on display. But we learned something important. We learned that the only way to prevent war is to make war so terrible that no one dares start one. We call it deterrence through overwhelming force. For the first time in our history, humanity is united. For the first time, all our weapons, all our knowledge, all our capacity for violence is pointed in one direction, outward, at anyone who threatens us. The recording ended. The room was silent. Young Soo cleared his throat. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. They developed warfare into a science. Every battle they fought taught them lessons. Every war made them stronger. When they finally united against an external threat, they brought all that accumulated knowledge to bear. The Confederation has not fought a serious war in 300 years, Hyan-Woo said quietly. We forgot how. The humans never stopped learning. J1 pulled up casualty reports. Look at these numbers. In every engagement, humans take minimal losses. They know exactly where to strike. They know exactly how much force to use. They do not waste resources. They do not make mistakes. This is not luck. This is professional military expertise applied with perfect coordination. Can we win? An officer asked. No one answered. The silence said everything. Hyan-Woo looked at the strategic maps. Human forces were everywhere, tightening a noose around Confederation territory. They were not rushing. They were not making mistakes. They were advancing methodically, taking positions, consolidating control, and preparing for the next phase. They are not just fighting us, Hyan-Woo realized. They are teaching us a lesson. Every battle, every defeat. They are showing the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. Pilot Sung-ho, who had been captured at Arcturus and later released, spoke from his seat. When they held me prisoner, I talked to the guards. They were normal people, teachers, engineers, parents, but they all believed the same thing, that the Confederation left them no choice. They said their ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear weapons. They said humans always survive, no matter the cost. And they said, if the galaxy wants to play by the rules of survival of the fittest, humanity will show them what fit really means. Construction Lee Barham entered the room with urgent news. Commander, we just received reports from Sector 9. The humans have established colonies on 3 worlds we thought were under our control. Not temporary bases. Permanent colonies. With civilians. With families. How long have they been there? Hyan-Woo asked. Unknown. Could be weeks. Could be since the beginning. They built the colonies in remote areas and hid them from our scans. By the time we detected them, they had defensive positions and were ready to fight for the territory. Hyan-Woo closed his eyes. The humans were not just fighting a war. They were expanding, colonizing, building a new civilization on the ruins of the Confederation's territory. They were replacing one empire with another. Send a message to High Command, he said. Tell them we cannot win this war. The humans are too coordinated, too prepared, too committed. We need to negotiate peace before they decide peace is not an option. The message was sent, but deep down, Hyun-woo knew the truth. The time for peace had passed. It passed 73 cycles ago when the Confederation sent their ultimatum. Now humanity was sending their response, and that response was total war. 2 years after Earth went silent, Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by the broken remains of the Confederation fleet. Only 40 ships remained from the 300 that once patrolled the galaxy. The rest were destroyed, captured, or abandoned. "Sir, incoming transmission," the communications officer said. "It is being broadcast on all frequencies." "Play it," Taeyang ordered. The screen showed a middle-aged woman in a black uniform. Her name tag read Minji, Communications Director, Human Defense Fleet. She looked directly at the camera with calm, cold eyes. "This is a message to the Confederation High Command and all remaining military forces. The war is over. You have lost. Lay down your weapons and surrender unconditionally. You will be treated fairly and return to your families. Continued resistance serves no purpose." Taeyang expected threats, expected demands. Instead, Minji simply stated facts with no emotion at all. "We have captured or destroyed 90% of your military infrastructure. We control 43 of your colonies. We have displaced your governments from 17 core worlds. You no longer have the capacity to resist. Surrender is your only logical option." The transmission ended. Taeyang stood in silence. Around him, officers waited for orders. What could they do? Fight and die? Surrender and live? "Send a response," Taeyang said finally. "Unconditional surrender. All forces. All territories. We accept humanity's terms." He expected relief. Instead, the response was immediate and terrifying. Minji appeared on screen again. "Your surrender is noted but not accepted," she said. "What?" Taeyang could not hide his shock. "We surrender. The war is over." "No," Minji said. "The war continues until we decide it is over. You gave Earth an ultimatum. Submit or die. We rejected submission. You chose our death. We are simply returning the favor." The screen changed to show a different person. A man whose hair had gone gray, but whose eyes still burned with determination. Engineer Ji-hoon, the one who had led the scattering. "Admiral Taeyang," Ji-hoon said. 2 years ago, you could have had peace. You could have had cooperation. You could have had trade, friendship, cultural exchange. Instead, you demanded Earth's submission. You threatened extinction. You forced us to choose between slavery and death. We chose neither. We chose to ensure you could never threaten us again. Not by hiding, not by running, by becoming stronger than you, by becoming something you could never defeat." Ji-hoon gestured off camera. The view changed to show a massive fleet. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, all bearing human symbols. The scattering was phase 1, survival. Phase 2 was preparation, building, learning, growing. Now we enter phase 3, the return. The display showed Earth, the blue planet that had been empty for 2 years. Around it, human ships began appearing. Not hundreds, not thousands, tens of thousands. An armada so vast it blocked out the stars. "We are going home," Ji-hoon said. "And we are bringing you with us. Every Confederation ship, every station, every weapon that threatened us. We are dragging it all back to Earth as a monument. A reminder of what happens when you threaten humanity." The transmission cut off. Taeyang slumped in his chair. They had not just lost. They had been made an example on a moon orbiting a distant planet. Scientist So Min watched the same transmission with different emotions. She was older now, her hair touched with white, her face marked by years of hard work. But she smiled. Around her stood the settlement she had helped build. Thousands of humans living and working on a world that did not even have a name 2 years ago. Children played in the streets. Farmers tended crops in greenhouse domes. Engineers maintained the quantum communication relays that kept them connected to the rest of humanity. Is it really over? A young man asked. His name was Jae Min, born during the scattering, knowing only life among the stars. The fighting? So Min said. Soon, but the real work is just beginning. She pointed to the sky where ships were gathering. Not warships, colony ships. Thousands of them preparing to return to Earth, to rebuild what was abandoned, to make their homeworld into something new. We scattered to survive, So Min said. We fought to ensure no one could threaten us again. Now we return to show the galaxy what humanity has become. Commander Hyan Wu received orders to report to Earth, not as a conqueror, as a prisoner. His ship joined hundreds of other Confederation vessels being escorted by human forces. The journey took weeks. When Earth appeared on the viewing screen, Hyan Wu barely recognized it. The cities that had been empty were alive again. Lights blazed in the darkness. Ships moved in orbit. The planet that had seemed dead was reborn. They landed in Seoul, the same plaza where the transmission beacon once stood. But the beacon was gone now, replaced by a monument. A black tower with words carved in every language. They demanded submission. We chose freedom. They threatened extinction. We chose survival. They sealed their destiny. We chose ours. So Min stood near the monument, waiting. She was one of the few civilians allowed to greet the Confederation officers. When Hyan Wu approached, she nodded respectfully. Welcome to Earth, she said. I am So Min. I helped coordinate the scattering. Why am I here? Hyan Wu asked. Why not just execute us? Because that is not who we are, So Min replied. You threatened genocide. We responded with overwhelming force. But we are not monsters. We do not kill unnecessarily. We just make sure no one ever threatens us again. She led him through the city. Seoul was not the empty shell he had seen before. People walked the streets. Markets buzzed with activity. Children attended schools. Life had returned. Every human who scattered is coming home, So Min explained. It will take years. Some will stay in the colonies we built. But most want to see Earth again. Want to walk on the world our ancestors came from. And the Confederation? Hyan Wu asked. Will be reformed, So Min said. Under new management. With new rules. Rules that protect species' rights to exist. Rules that prevent what you tried to do to us. They reached a building where other Confederation officers waited. All prisoners. All defeated. But alive and unharmed. You will be tried, So Min said. Those who gave the order to threaten Earth will face justice. Those who just followed orders will be released. Return to your families. We believe in accountability, not revenge. Hyan Wu looked at the woman. She seemed kind, reasonable, normal. Nothing like the terrifying military force that had crushed the Confederation. How did you do it? He asked. How did 11 billion scattered people defeat an empire of trillions? So Min smiled. You assume being scattered made us weak, but it made us strong. Every human settlement became independent, self-sufficient, capable of surviving alone. But we stayed connected. We stayed unified in purpose. We proved that you do not need to be in one place to act as one people. The Confederation was centralized. Cut off the head, and the body dies. We are decentralized. You cannot cut off our head, because we have 11 billion heads. All thinking. All acting. all committed to the same goal. She paused, looking up at the stars. You wanted to know what humanity is capable of. You threatened us with extinction to find out. Well, now you know. We are capable of surviving anything, enduring anything, overcoming anything. Because we refuse to die. We scattered across the stars. We built a new civilization from nothing. We fought an empire and won. And we did it all because you left us no choice. Hyam-Woo sat down on a bench, exhausted. What happens now? Now? Someone said. Now we rebuild. The galaxy needs to learn that cooperation is better than domination. That diversity is strength. That threatening peaceful species leads to war. And humanity? Humanity will watch. From Earth, from our colonies, from settlements across the galaxy. We are not going anywhere. We are here to stay. And anyone who threatens us again will face what the Confederation faced. The sun was setting over Seoul. The sky turned orange and red. In orbit, ships continued arriving. Humans coming home. The scattering was reversing. The return had begun. So Dashman changed the transmission beacon's message one final time. It no longer warned of coming vengeance. Instead, it broadcast something new. We are home. The galaxy has a choice. Coexist in peace or face what we are capable of. We prefer peace, but we are ready for war. The choice is yours. The message spread across the galaxy. Some species heard it as a threat, others as a promise. But everyone understood the truth. Humanity had arrived. Not as victims, not as refugees, as a power that could not be ignored or eliminated. A species that turned its greatest weakness into its greatest strength. The Confederation had sealed its destiny when it threatened Earth. It thought silence meant defeat. Instead, silence meant preparation. And now the galaxy would live with the consequences. A scattered humanity had become an empire of the willing, spread across the stars, united in purpose. Impossible to defeat? Earth's last transmission was not a cry for help. It was a declaration. Humanity would not submit. Humanity would not die. Humanity would endure, and the galaxy would remember.